In this lesson, we are going to look at the third part of exponents. Now, the type of sums we're going to look at is where we're going to explicitly use factorization to simplify our sum. Now, to start off with the first example, what we have here is 7 times 2 to the power of x minus 3 times 2 to the power of x plus 1, and then also the denominator. And the way to identify, because this is important to start off with a sum in a test, you're going to have to identify this type of sum. And the easiest way is to see that this has got a negative, either top or bottom, like a plus or negative, or in other words, it has more than one term in the numerator or the denominator. And then what we're going to do is we're going to factorize. See, there's the 2x there, there's the 2x, 2 to the power of x, there's 2 to the power of x, and there's 2 to the power of x. Now, before we start factorizing, the first step is simply first to use the first law and just to break these parts up, because we only want to take out the 2 to the power of x. So I'm going to say 7 times 2 to the power of x minus 3 times by, now we have 2 to the power of x times by 2 to the power of 1. So notice, if I use the first law, same basis, multiply, exponents, add again. So I just went backwards and broke them up. Okay, and then 2 to the power of x minus, so 2 to the power of x times by 2 to the power of negative 1. Now we can go ahead and factor out all our 2 to the power of x's as a common factor, because you see that we have two terms here in the numerator, and the common factor is 2 to the power of x. Right, so now we factor out the 2x, so we have 2 to the power of x, and then 7 is left in the first term, minus 3 times by 2 to the power of 1 is left in the second term. And that's all over 2 to the power of x, and then in this term we've got 1 minus 2 to the power of negative 1. And now we cancel top and bottom, and then we just type this as it is in the calculator. So here we have a fraction, and then 7 minus, now 3 times 2 is just 6, so I'm just going to say 7 minus 6. And then here we have 1 minus 2 to the power of negative 1. Okay, and that simply gives us 2. Okay, and then for the next one, so before we get started here, I'm going to first multiply in these multiply the powers with each other. So this is going to give me 3 to the power of 2n plus 3 to the power of 2n minus 1, and that's over 3 to the power of n. And then I'm going to proceed with the normal steps. First of all, we start by breaking it up. We have 2n plus 3 to the power of 2n times by 3 to the power of negative 1 over 3 to the power of n. Now we can go ahead and factorize out 3 to the power of 2n. And we take it out, and then what is left, the first term is just 1, plus the second term is 3 to the power of negative 1, all over 3 to the power of n. Now in this case, we can't just simply cancel, because we need to, we've got a 3 to the power of 2n here and just a 3 to the power of n here. So what we're going to do here is just use our exponent laws, where we know if we divide the same base, we subtract the exponents. So if I have this base of 3 and I subtract my exponents, 2n minus n, then I'm just left with 1n, or n. And then on the inside here, we can also simplify this so long. This is then going to be 1 plus 3 to the power of negative 1, and that gives us 4 over 3. And then furthermore, we can multiply these together and put it into this form where we have 4 times by 3n, because remember you multiply the numerators and then the denominators, and then over 3. And then the final thing we can do is, because we have the same basis here, this is to the power of 1. When I divide the same basis, I subtract the exponent, so this is 4 times 3 to the power of n minus 1. Okay, and then for the last example, first step is to break up, so 3 to the power of x times 3 to the power of negative 2 plus 3 to the power of x times by 3 to the power of negative 1 all over, and then that's just 3x. Breaking this up, we've got 3 to the power of x times by 3 to the power of 1. Alright, so factoring out, we've got these to factor out. So 3 to the power of x comes out, and then 3 to the power of negative 2 is left, plus 3 to the power of negative 1. And that's over. So here we have 3 to the power of x coming out again. Then we have this 1 plus 3 to the power of 1. And these guys then cancel, and then after cancelling we simplify. So we just put that on the calculator as fraction, and then 3 to the power of negative 2 plus 3 to the power of negative 1 over 1 plus 3 is just 4. So this gives us 1 over 9. Okay, so that was then the steps that we use for these types of sums, and then you should be able to do the exercises at this point.